I'm Chip Freund, and this is the Artist Spotlight, conversations with contemporary artists based on 5 simple questions that explore the artist's journey, creativity, and sources of inspiration. Welcome to another edition of the Artist Spotlight podcast. I am your host, Chip Freund, and today I am joined by Sarah Cawn. And I have the unique pleasure to be in Sarah's studio today. So as I sit here, we're looking around at all of the materials needed to make absolutely stunning works of glass art. So, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you for considering me.
Oh, glad we finally got around to it since we're neighbors. So I ask each artist to sort of ground the audience in what they're currently up to and what they're doing in their art space. Something maybe you just finished, getting started, whatever it might be.
I just finished teaching the classes that I always teach in stained glass as well as fused glass. And so now I'm at a kind of a break in between, cleaning up the studio and getting things ready to start on some projects that I'm dying to dive into.
Well, excellent. Is it in the stained glass or the fused glass or both?
Projects that I'm thinking of right now are fused glass.
All right. Very cool.
I get plenty of stained glass repair. So that keeps me busy in the stained glass area. So I'm not really doing, I am doing some custom work in stained glass, but I'm dying to get back into the fused glass projects.
Well, cool. Okay. So what is your earliest memory of making art of any kind?
It's really silly, but I used to sew doll clothes for my dollhouse people.
Nothing silly about that. It's a creative outlet.
And I did do a lot of sewing when I was younger. Things like that.
About what age do you think you started doing that?
Maybe 6, 7. I had one of those little tiny sewing machines. I don't even know if they make them anymore. And I used to do it on that. Just nothing fancy.
Right.
You know. So
you already mentioned that you're a stained glass and fused glass artist. What brought you to glass, and what is it that just sort of intrigues you and keeps you there?
A friend told me about a stained glass class, and I had always admired glass. I guess I inherited that from my mother. Because when we would travel, we'd go into gift shops, and she would point out different colors of glass and how the light came through, and it just really fascinated me. And I love stained glass windows. So I took the class, and that was it. And then from there, it was probably about 15 years ago that I got into fused glass as well. So now it's fused glass and stained glass.
For those in the audience that may not be familiar, can you describe fused glass a little bit? I think everybody sort of understands stained glass, but fused glass may be...
Well, maybe kiln-formed glass is a better way to describe it.
Okay.
You do use kilns, not the same as pottery kilns. They're different. It's a matter of, you're cutting your glass, or you use glass powders, you use glass paints. There's all different ways that you can put together what you're going to create, whether it's a bowl, a platter, a vase, or a decorative item of some kind, or jewelry, pendants.
Okay. And for the bowls and vases, like the wonderful orange one I see over there, are they formed over some sort of a form that's in the kiln?
That one was dropped through a form. It's called a drop vase. And it had a collar around it, which I cut off on that saw that's sitting next to the sink.
Okay. So you'd have effectively a hole. You put the sheet of glass over the hole, and then as it heats up, gravity then pulls it down through the hole.
Right.
Oh, interesting.
But it was more than one sheet of glass.
Okay, yeah, just to get the different patterns and things,
right.
But effectively.
And it's fun because you put your pieces on the sheet of glass, design the sheet of glass any way you want, and then when you put it into the kiln, you fuse it first. You put it in the kiln, and fusing means it brings it up to a high temperature, anywhere from 1450 to about 1500 degrees. And you fuse it flat, so it's into the glass, the design is. And then when you put it on this halo form for it to drop through, when it drops through, it stretches, so your design changes. And it's fun. It's fascinating. I find glass very fascinating. It's the amorphous solid, which means like the atoms are not in uniform order.
They're not lined up, I guess, like you would in some sort of a crystal.
Right. So when it's heated in a kiln, it has to be done slowly. It has to be brought up to a certain temperature and then held. If you have more than one layer, you hold it at a certain temperature for a bubble squeeze to get the air out. It goes up, you bring it up to the full fuse temperature if that's what you're doing. And then when you bring it down, there's an annealing temperature that's different for different coadhesions of glass. Coadhesion being, one thing leads to another. Coadhesion being the rate at which the glass heats and cools. And there's different coadhesions. You can't mix them. If you mix them, they'll just break. They'll break apart. They'll repel each other. Whereas if it's the same, if two pieces of glass are the same coadhesion, it's like a magnet. They will draw to each other when they heat.
So in your practice, it really is a mixture of science and art, right? You got to understand.
Yeah, to a point.
You got to understand the science so that you can do the art.
Yeah, to a point. I mean, some people get really into it and they know all the particulars. I've delved as deep as I can to make my work successful.
Well, it's not that different for me with photography in the sense that there are people that go super deep and know every single function their camera can do.
Right.
I know the things I need to know to do the work that I want to do. Right. And if I want to do something new, I go out and I learn that. Right? I'd rather not spend my time just learning it for learning's sake.
Right.
So I can appreciate that.
I've taken lamp working lessons. And long time ago, and then I never got any chance to really work with it. So I took it again at the NC State recently. So now that I'm done teaching, I can get back to practicing with that. And there's a certain amount of practice that you need, for it.
And what you're pointing to there is it looks like it's some sort of a gas torch that you work in.
Yeah. Yes.
And another glass artist I know uses a similar rig and will actually do small little blowings with it. So it's not blown glass in the traditional sense.
Right.
But
they have torches that are huge that you can make really large things, But
you got plenty of toys.
I was going to say, I've got plenty to do in here. That's for sure.
So where does your art come from? What's your inspirations for works?
Color, nature, people, animals,
and
birds, horses, my favorite.
In a representative sense or in sort of a more thematic sense? I look at some of the fused glass pieces around here and I can see maybe plants in the shapes, but not necessarily an animal. But would you actually create an animal shape or a bird shape in the piece so it is representative?
I have done fish, and I've done butterflies. I've done flowers. I did a stained glass window for somebody recently that I did the dogwood flowers in a kiln. And I also did a piece for somebody in stained glass that I did butterflies in the kiln.
So in a sense, combining the two mediums. So you do a fused glass piece that then becomes an element of the stained glass.
Right.
How much of your work is your own personal inspiration versus commission?
That's a good question because a lot of times the commission is my inspiration. Because they'll say what they want.
Yeah.
And then I have to come up with something.
Okay. So
there are some people that show me specifically. I had a man send me a picture and said, make this. And everything was done long distance, over phone, through text. And so in that case, there was no inspiration because I did exactly what he wanted me to do, which is fine.
It's work.
Yeah. But a lot of times it is inspiration because of that. It's just, I don't know, I guess I have more inspiration. I spend more time with my inspiration in fused glass than I do in stained glass. It used to be just stained glass. And things that I did, especially the things that I've done in my house and things I did for other people were things that I came up with. I might have seen pictures and that helped to inspire. Because, I think a lot of artists use that. Probably all artists do. But since I've started the fused glass, I don't know, to me it leaves a little more freedom. There's a little more freedom and creativity in it.
Do you do any kind of pre-planning sketches, or is it sort of assemble as you go?
It depends on what the item is that I want to do, but most of the time in fused glass, no, I do it as I go. Sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. And there's been times that I've made mistakes that are awful, so I smash it and make something else out of it.
It's great that that's an option. Right?
Yeah, and sometimes it comes out better that way. Sometimes mistakes are better. So, it's been good for me because I've always been very rigid when I was younger. And I think in art you cannot be that way. The freer you are, the easier it is for you to come up with more things and so forth.
Oh, I think that's...
And you're happier, at least I am.
Yeah.
A person is happier too. One is happier.
No, I think that's right on.
Yeah.
Right on. So this is kind of a nice lead-in to our next question, which is, what advice would you give to an artist starting out? You just gave one piece, which, is I think some valuable input, but what else comes to mind?
I would say don't be afraid. If you like something, if you admire, for instance, you do photography. I admire your photographs. That's something I've always been interested in. And if I wasn't doing all this in class, I'd be over at your house asking to take lessons. No, seriously, if a person goes out and they see something that they really like and they've always admired that certain technique or medium, they should go for it. They should find a teacher, find a class, and take it. Because you never know.
That's very cool.
The students that I get in here, I really encourage them. And I tell them, there's no right or wrong. It's just, I'm going to teach you a technique. And maybe when you go home and you start doing it on your own, you might do it a different way, but it's still the same technique. And that's fine. There's no right or wrong in this. So
I think that's a valuable thing to keep in mind.
Yeah.
It's so easy to fall into the trap of judgment.
Yeah, exactly. And I say, this is a very relaxing thing to do. So just relax and enjoy it. Don't judge your work. Yeah. Because everybody feels this way. I've been doing this for a very long time. And still in my mind sometimes I picture something turning out a certain way. And when it doesn't, I think, oh, that's not very good. But that's not a good appraisal.
Yeah.
It's really not.
You ever come back to one of those that maybe it didn't get smashed and rethink it, rework it?
Yeah. But it's funny too because there's some pieces that I did a long, long time ago that I really didn't like. And I've looked at pictures and that really wasn't that bad. I kind of like that. It's really funny. It does, because it happens, and I'm sure everybody goes through that.
Yeah. Well, in my medium with photography, particularly having gone digital now, I'll go out in the field, I'll have an idea of an image I want to make, and I'll make it, and I'll think, all right, I think I got it. I'm looking at the back of the camera. It looks like pretty much what I was aiming for. I get it home, get it up on the computer, and I'm like, oh, that's not what I had intended. And then I immediately sort of push it to the side and forget about it because it didn't work the way I thought. I've learned to go back after a period of time and look at them again with a different set of eyes, and maybe I go, oh, I could then do these post-processing pieces, and it becomes a different work. And I actually, have, had some very successful work come of things that were originally pushed to the side.
I mean, infused glass, I guess, if I were to rework something, it would depend. If it's a flat piece, it'd be a lot easier to rework.
Yeah.
If it's already been formed with a mold, then if it's already been formed with the mold, then it's a little bit harder unless I smash it. And unless I really can't stand it, I won't smash it. No, but there were some things that I tried when I first started fusing. And when I first started fusing, I didn't take any lessons. I just did it. And I read books. I mean, Gil Reynolds is a real pioneer in the fusing world. And I got his book, and I did projects in his book, and I just thought, and it was hard until I started taking workshops. And then when you get in and work with other people, you have good teachers, you gain confidence and so forth. So it was easier after that. But I look back at some of those projects I did on my own. They're really not bad. They're really not for somebody that didn't have a whole lot of knowledge. Not that I think I'm great. I don't mean it that way.
No, I understand.
It just, I think my point is my own worst critic is myself.
I think that's probably true of all artists.
Yeah.
I know for myself, I still have, moments of imposter syndrome of like, how in the world can I be here? I'm not good enough. I don't belong here. And I have to then talk myself out of that and go, no, you know what? I do me. Nobody else does me. And if my work is going to be seen in the world, the only way it's going to happen is if I do it.
That's right. That's very true. I've had students say that. This is terrible. I'm doing a horrible job. I say, no, you're not. When have you ever done this before? And I always say, everybody has to start someplace.
Yeah.
Just you got to keep doing it. If you enjoy doing it, just keep doing it.
Yeah.
And don't critique your work.
Well,
easier said than done.
I guess the question is critique versus criticize. I think there's a room for critique is a way of finding improvement, right?
Right.
But self-criticism and putting yourself down doesn't solve anything.
No, that's self-defeating.
Yeah.
As long as you're not self-defeating.
Yeah. If you're kind of going because to me, and maybe it's just how I look at my art, is when things don't go the way I intended, I finally got myself into a frame where I don't consider it a failure. Because I then look at it and go, okay, what happened? Why? And how might I do it differently? And I then challenge myself to go out and to try to find and do that image again with the way I had intended.
But then on the other hand, you could be leading yourself down another path.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how some artists discover some things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's happy accidents.
Yeah. I see on social media where somebody will do something and everybody will say, oh, wow, that's great. And nobody's seen that before. But then somebody else will come along and say, well, you're doing just what so-and-so did. But it doesn't mean that person is plagiarizing anybody.
Right.
I mean, we're all human beings, so people have similar thoughts. And there can be one person on this side of the country doing this and somebody on the other side doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't even know what each other's doing.
Yeah, parallel genesis.
Yeah.
It's completely a thing. Yeah. And I think the other piece you're talking about getting started and getting out and doing things, replicating an artist, in my case, maybe an Ansel Adams, in your case, maybe a Chihuly or something.
Well, not quite, but yeah, I
But
understand
trying
what you're
to
saying.
emulate, right?
Yeah.
That's fine to a point, but at some point you got to say, no, I need to start doing me. I had a photographer
exactly.
Did a workshop with he's like, I was going around doing my reviews of my work with people and getting portfolio reviews and critiques, and I got this one which at the time I was really frustrated and angry and left, and in hindsight it was the best advice I'd ever gotten. He's like, the guy looked at me and says, these are absolutely beautiful Ansel Adams pictures. You're not Ansel Adams. Go do you. Stop doing him. And I'm like, oh, and luckily I didn't get there, but I was able to take his learning and apply it. Of replicating a master is probably a decent way to start learning, but you got to find your own voice.
Exactly. I've taken quite a few workshops, and from some really, really well-known artists and very good teachers. And I need the time to just take those. There's a couple that I really want to get back to and do my own thing with them. Come up with something. Branch it off. I don't want to copy what they're doing. I don't want to turn around and make exactly what I made in class.
Right.
Again. I'd rather do something a little different.
It's a fun challenge rather than just repeating.
It is a fun challenge. As long as I don't sit here and go, okay, now what is it? Can't do that. You just have to start. I just have to start doing something.
Yeah.
So, and I can't do that when I'm teaching. My husband will ask me, well, why don't you work on a project, when you're not teaching? I can't. It's really hard for me to do that. It's like dividing myself up. I don't know, maybe I should be able to do it, but I can't.
I can completely relate because my wife will say, you need to get out and shoot more. And I'm like, yes, I'm not going to argue, but I've got to be in the right headspace to do that. Otherwise, I go out and I'm wandering around and I'm getting frustrated. So I've learned, there are maybe times where I just need to get out and take a walk in the woods and I'll be better for it. Don't worry about taking the pictures. But at the same time, if I try to go through the creative process when I'm not in the right headspace, it's not pretty.
Exactly. Well, maybe we need to text back and forth about that sometime.
Yeah.
Because he'll say, why aren't you out in your studio? You've got so much glass. Why don't you go out there and just make something? And I'm like, that's not what I do. I'm sorry. I can't just go make something. I'm not an assembly line.
Yeah. I've tried to take to heart particularly I hear it from painters, the idea of going and spending time in the studio every day and put paint on canvas. Doesn't have to be anything else, but just go through that motion. And the closest I've come to it is I try to spend time in my studio. It might just be cleaning it, right? But at least I'm spending time in the space,
right?
And I'm preparing for doing the work. But that whole idea of put paint on canvas every day, I'm like, for me that would mean shoot a few frames every day. It hasn't worked for me yet.
No, I know it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. There have been times too when I've been in the house and I'm busy doing something in the house and I think of, wow, that'd be a cool project to do.
Yes.
And I think of all this stuff and then I come out in my studio and I'm like, now what was that? And I can't remember. And he says, you need to have a notebook so you can write all this down. Yeah, you're right. But
I keep a list on my phone of project ideas. It's funny.
That's
though,
what I need to do.
Yeah, it's funny though. I'll then be looking. I need to do something creative, and then for whatever reason, I don't think about going and looking at my list. I'm like, I made a list for a reason.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we're alone in that though, because I've talked to other people.
Yeah.
I've also talked to other glass artists when I've gone to workshops. And I'll say something like, my husband says I've got way too much glass. I can't get any more. And somebody else says, yeah, mine says that too. I've got so much glass. But they don't understand. You don't buy 3 colors and then make something.
Right.
And then buy 3 more colors and make something. It just doesn't work that way.
It'd be like a painter only having a few tubes of paint to work from, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
That's true.
Another glass artist friend of mine had a particular manufacturer that he really liked, and they went out of business, and he bought them out. He's like,
wow.
I'm just going to take the plunge. So he bought boxes and boxes of what they had left. He's like, I don't know. He had cash to do it. So talk about having a lot of glass.
Oh, yay.
But he's now got what he really likes. Right, and I got to believe it matters which manufacturer you go to, it performs a certain way. You know how it's going to behave, and therefore you can say, okay, this is what I want for this.
Yeah. There was a glass company that went out. I think it was in 2016. Boy, everybody was in shock. Because everybody used that glass. Now there's a different company that has taken over. They've bought all their equipment. And
it may have been
so
this one.
forth.
And maybe it wasn't the whole company, but he bought out one
Was it Spectrum?
supplier. I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
But he was telling me, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's bold.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, oh my goodness, what do you do with all that?
Yeah.
Well, I also had a man call me that he had a friend in Ohio who has this huge barn full of glass. And it's like crates and crates and crates. Would I be interested in going with him and buying some? And I'm just like, I appreciate that, but no thanks. I've got enough to deal with.
Yeah, you need to build your own barn.
There are a lot of people like that. I had another lady call me that was retiring. And she used to teach. She had like 4 or 5 grinders. She had all this glass. It wasn't separated by company. And she named off some of the companies, and it was really good glass. But she had it packed up in boxes, but she didn't know what was in the boxes. She didn't know what kind was in what box or what size was in what box. I mean, everything was just packed up, and she had it in a shed. And she wanted me to buy the whole thing. And I don't remember the number of glass or the number of sheets of glass or what kind. She knew the totals, but she didn't know what for what, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. She wanted $17,000, period.
For a grab bag.
Yeah, for the whole thing. $17,000. And my husband figured it out according to what she said at the time, and it was like $20 a sheet of glass, which may or may not be a good thing, but I don't have $17,000.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't divide it up. If I brought friends and had people, nobody was going to pick through anything. You either buy it all or nothing. Yeah. I think she still has it. But I felt sorry for her. But
yeah. Well, the last of our questions is, what artist would you recommend people go check out?
Like beginning artists? Or
anybody. It's just some artists that you're like, that's cool. People should go see this.
Nathan Sandberg.
Nathan Sandberg. What's the nature of Nathan's work?
Oh, he is one that does a lot of vitrograph, which is putting glass together. This is going to sound funny, but you put glass together in a flower pot, putting it in a kiln, and the bottom is cut out so that the glass will come through the bottom of the flower pot. And he pulls it down, and he makes long, round, tubular shape, and then slices it. And he's done tabletops and, I mean, you name it. He's done all kinds of things. I've taken probably 3 or 4 of his workshops. He's a really, really good teacher, too. He's very particular and very right on, but that's why he's so good. Yeah, I really enjoyed his teaching. And he also does, he does a lot of things. I'm sure he does glass blowing. He does all kinds of things. But I follow him on Instagram, and I've seen him do these little figures, 3-dimensional figures and so forth. He's a really smart guy.
Oh, we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, another one is Ian Chadwick.
Ian Chadwick, okay.
He's an English chap. Very nice, and also a very good teacher. Excellent teacher.
Again, glass?
Yeah, glass.
All right. Well,
painter, I mean, my friend Rocky Alexander is a really good painter. Nicole White Kennedy.
Sure.
She's very, very good. Very good. Diana Coyden. She does pastels.
Yep. She's a good friend of mine at my
her
gallery.
Fingers.
And she's also been on this podcast.
Yeah. She does with her works.
Fingers, yep.
Yeah,
yep.
she's excellent.
Yeah. She just did a demo at the gallery on Saturday And it was just great to see the people interacting with her and watching her do it. People didn't realize that you actually do pastels with your fingers.
She's
she's
very
so good.
creative. Yeah, she is. And I'm sure there's others too that I'm leaving out, but
well, that gives us a few to, for our listeners to go poke around and check them out. But we want to make sure that they can find your work as well. So both in the cyberspace and in the real world, where can folks find your work?
Well, I have a website, sarahsglassart.com. I am on Instagram, and I'm in Bel Air Art Center up in Rocky Mount.
And I'll put links in the show notes to all of that for folks to be able to get to, as well as to your artist recommendations. Okay. And that brings us to the end of another episode of the Artist Spotlight Podcast. We've been chatting with Sarah Cawn. Sarah, thank you again for taking some time out of your day to talk to our audience.
Thank you very much, Chip.
And that wraps up this episode of the Artist Spotlight. Please tune in next time for another conversation with a contemporary artist. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Artist Spotlight with Chip Freund. Find accompanying blog posts at chipfreundphoto.com/blog, and you may subscribe to our show on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like listening.